There are moments in economic history when the world quietly shifts, not with a vote, not with a war, but with one man discovering a system so powerful that it rewires capitalism for generations. Most people think monopolies rise because of luck, brilliance, or timing. But that's not true. They rise because someone designs a machine, an engine of control, capable of swallowing entire industries. And in America, that engine was first built by a man from Cleveland whose methods didn't just survive him. They became the operating software for every dominant corporation you deal with today. To understand the world of 2025, your gas prices, your groceries, your tech platforms, your medicines, you must understand the man who wrote the playbook. In 1870, a 31-year-old entrepreneur in Cleveland, Ohio, controlled just 4% of America's oil refining. A decade later, that share had exploded to 90%. And by 1904, he commanded 91% of all oil refined in the United States, 85% of the final market sales, and had quietly invented the blueprint for every monopoly that followed. His name was John D. Rockefeller. And the machinery he built, the corporate structures, the tactics, the philosophy of control, didn't disappear when Standard Oil was split apart in 1911. They adapted. They spread. They became the invisible framework of your life today in 2025. The gas you put in your car, the medications on your shelf, the platforms you post on, the groceries you buy, the banks that hold your savings, every one of them still uses the Rockefeller operating system. Vertical integration, horizontal domination, regulatory capture, tax-exempt foundations that guide public policy. Market control so complete that competition becomes more of a slogan than a reality. Rockefeller didn't merely build an oil empire. He engineered the architecture of modern corporate power. And you can't escape it because the system isn't Standard Oil. The system is the method. And that method has been faithfully copied by dominant corporations for a century and a half. Amazon uses it. Google uses it. Pfizer uses it. JP Morgan uses it. Every one of them follows, almost line for line, the Rockefeller blueprint. Control the supply chain from top to bottom. Crush rivals left and right. Win over regulators. Buy respectability through philanthropy. And when the government breaks you apart, make sure the pieces are worth more individually than they were together. Now, let me walk you through how Rockefeller built this machine, how it made him the wealthiest individual in modern history, how the breakup of Standard Oil actually made him richer, and why, 114 years later, you still live inside the world he designed. Because understanding this isn't trivia. It's survival. This system is engineered to extract wealth from the many and concentrate it at the top. And once you recognize the pattern, you'll start seeing it everywhere. John Davidson Rockefeller was born on July 8, 1839 in Richford, New York. His father was a traveling con artist who peddled fake cancer cures. His mother was a strict, deeply religious Baptist. The combination shaped Rockefeller's worldview, the cold ruthlessness of a swindler paired with the moral certainty of a believer. He could dismantle a competitor without blinking, and genuinely think God had chosen him to bring order and efficiency to industry. To Rockefeller, this wasn't hypocrisy. It was destiny. Then came 1859. Oil was struck in Titusville, Pennsylvania, setting off the first American oil rush. Thousands poured in, drilling wildly, fortunes rising and collapsing overnight. Prices boomed and crashed in a cycle of chaos. Rockefeller, then a 20-year-old bookkeeper in Cleveland, saw the opening but not in drilling. Drilling was a gamble. Refining was the real business. Turning crude into kerosene for lamps, that was stable, predictable, profitable. In 1863, he invested $4,000 into his first refinery. Within 2 years, it was the largest in Cleveland. But size wasn't enough. Cleveland had 30 refineries, all clawing for survival, most one bad month away from collapse. This was where Rockefeller revealed his true genius. He didn't want to compete. He wanted to eliminate competition itself. His method, vertical integration, controlling every stage of production. While others focused only on refining, Rockefeller bought the barrel factories. He bought tank cars and secured rail networks. He built his own warehouses. He built his own distribution routes. Every link in the chain that once generated profit for someone else now generated profit for Standard Oil. Competitors paid 25 cents per barrel for containers. Rockefeller made his for 15 cents. Rivals paid railroads to ship their oil. Rockefeller negotiated secret rebates so railroads effectively paid him to move his product while charging competitors more. This wasn't simply efficiency. This was economic warfare. By 1870, he formally created Standard Oil Company of Ohio. His refining operation was the largest in the world, but still only accounted for 4% of U.S. capacity. That was unacceptable to Rockefeller. So he initiated the second phase, horizontal integration, absorbing or destroying every rival. In 1872, he unleashed what historians now call the Cleveland Massacre. Over just 90 days, Rockefeller approached every refinery owner in the city. He offered to buy them for fair prices and even offered them jobs afterward. If they refused, he slashed kerosene prices below cost, bleeding them dry until they had no choice: sell or collapse. Most sold. The few who resisted were crushed. By the end of that year, Rockefeller controlled 25 of Cleveland's 26 refineries and had jumped from 4% to 25% of America's refining capacity in 3 months. This became the formula used by monopolies for the next 150 years. Offer to buy. If they decline, starve them. Then buy what's left. Throughout the 1870s, Standard Oil spread across the nation. Rockefeller acquired refineries in major cities, New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, using the same blend of secret rebates, vertical integration, and ruthless pricing. By 1879, Standard Oil controlled 90% of U.S. refining. Not a business, a monopoly. But Rockefeller recognized that monopolies face two existential threats. They're illegal. They're hated. To solve both, he invented something new, the corporate trust. In 1882, his lawyers built the Standard Oil Trust, the first of its kind. Since Ohio law prevented his company from owning businesses in other states, the trust became a workaround. Shareholders, meaning Rockefeller and his tight inner circle, placed their stock into one giant trust, which then controlled dozens of companies across the country. It was legal jiu-jitsu. This model became the ancestor of the modern corporate conglomerate. Every major holding company today, Berkshire Hathaway, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, traces its structure back to Rockefeller's trust. By 1904, Standard Oil ruled 91% of refining and 85% of final oil sales. Rockefeller's net worth hit $900 million, around $25 billion today. But inflation adjusted at his wealth peak, he was worth about $400 billion, more than Bezos, Musk, and Gates combined. No one before or since has matched it. But public anger was rising. The Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 targeted monopolies directly. In 1906, Ida Tarbell's exposé laid bare Standard Oil's secret deals, price manipulation, and industrial chokeholds. The pressure became unstoppable. In 1911, the Supreme Court ordered Standard Oil broken into 34 separate companies. But this punishment only made Rockefeller richer. He owned shares in every new company. Standard Oil of New Jersey Exxon. Standard Oil of New York Mobil. Standard Oil of California Chevron. Standard Oil of Indiana Amoco. Standard Oil of Ohio Sohio. Before the breakup, Standard Oil stock hovered around $600 per share. After the breakup, the collective value of the pieces exceeded $2,000 per share. Rockefeller's fortune tripled. What? Because the breakup didn't dismantle the system. It merely reorganized it. And over the next century, many of those pieces merged right back together. Exxon and Mobil merged in 1999. Chevron absorbed Standard Oil of Kentucky. BP bought Amoco and Sohio. The broken monopoly reassembled itself under new names. But Rockefeller's most lasting creation wasn't oil. It was the blueprint. Amazon follows it step by step. Started with books, now controls warehouses, logistics, delivery, payment systems, and the cloud infrastructure that stores half the internet. AWS alone makes more money than Amazon's retail operations. Rockefeller controlled the rails and refineries. Amazon controls the servers and supply chains. Horizontal consolidation? Amazon has bought more than 100 companies: Whole Foods, Twitch, Ring, MGM, Zappos. And when it can't buy a rival, it copies their top-selling products, uses marketplace data against them, and buries them with Amazon basics. Rockefeller would smile at the strategy. Google uses Rockefeller's trust model through Alphabet, one parent, dozens of subsidiaries, all insulated and strategically structured. Pharmaceutical giants follow Rockefeller's regulatory strategy. Fund the regulator, shape the rules, extend patents, secure market exclusivity. Pfizer, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, they're not just competing, they're designing the rulebook. And the banking sector? Rockefeller's holding company structure lives on in J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of America. One parent company, countless subsidiaries, impossible to regulate cleanly. Dodd-Frank never stood a chance. Rockefeller's final and most sophisticated innovation wasn't vertical integration or secret railroad rebates, it was philanthropy. In 1913 he created the Rockefeller Foundation, seeded with the equivalent of billions in today's dollars. To the public it looked like generosity. But strategically, it was a masterstroke, shielding wealth from taxes, shaping universities and research priorities, and turning a feared monopolist into a national benefactor. By funding medical schools and public health programs, the foundation rewrote the standards of American medicine and quietly steered it toward pharmaceutical solutions, benefiting companies that evolved from Standard Oil's chemical divisions. Modern billionaires follow this script flawlessly. Bill Gates' foundation, with tens of billions in assets, influences global health policy and national decision-making. Mark Zuckerberg formed his own initiative. Warren Buffett poured much of his fortune into the Gates Foundation. These aren't merely charitable gestures, they are vehicles for shaping policy, building legacy, and managing untaxed wealth. Rockefeller created the prototype, today's elites perfected it. And the Rockefeller family still plays a role. David Rockefeller, banker, global strategist, and grandson of John D., spent decades shaping financial and geopolitical institutions. The family's wealth, spread across hundreds of trusts and foundations, continues to influence research, education, and politics more than 150 years after Standard Oil's birth. But here's the crucial part: the system isn't meant to be optional. It is designed to be so vast, so normalized, that escaping it becomes impossible. When you buy gasoline, you choose among ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, or Shell, all of them descended from Standard Oil or using its methods. When you shop online, Amazon's vertically integrated machine dominates logistics, cloud computing, data, and retail. When you search the internet, Google, structured like a modern trust, controls over 90% of the market. When you receive healthcare, you enter a system shaped by Rockefeller-funded institutions and pharmaceutical companies built on his industrial model. This network is self-sustaining. It concentrates wealth, erases competition, captures regulators, and uses philanthropy to gain legitimacy. It is not a conspiracy, it is corporate structure. Legal, efficient, widely accepted, and nearly impossible to avoid. What made Rockefeller different from Carnegie, Vanderbilt, and Morgan was that he didn't merely build an empire, he engineered a pattern. Steel mills change hands. Railroads fragment. Financial empires shift with their founders. But a system persists. It adapts. It spreads. When Standard Oil was dismantled in 1911, its strategies multiplied. Vertical integration became the default corporate model. Trusts evolved into holding companies. Regulatory capture became modern lobbying. Philanthropy became a tax-advantaged instrument of influence. To understand how the system extracts wealth today, consider your own spending. The average American spends thousands every year on fuel, online shopping, healthcare, technology, and banking fees. Over a lifetime, hundreds of thousands of dollars flow upward into corporations that use Rockefeller's methods: consolidation, integration, control, extraction. These companies don't necessarily innovate the best, they simply make it impossible for competition to survive. Try avoiding Amazon. Try ignoring Google. Try living without pharmaceutical medicine or using banks outside the consolidated giants. The system narrows your options until choice becomes a comforting illusion. And yet, Rockefeller never believed the system was evil. He believed it was efficient. In his view, competition was chaos, duplication, waste, instability. Consolidation created order. Standard Oil cut kerosene prices by over 80%, making lighting affordable for millions. Today, Amazon delivers goods in days, Google answers questions instantly, modern pharmaceutical companies develop life-saving treatments. The system works just unevenly. Consumers get convenience, the leaders accumulate generational wealth. So how should anyone respond? You have three options. First, accept the system and use its efficiencies. Second, resist it by supporting antitrust laws, local businesses, and alternatives even if they cost more. Third, understand the system and position yourself within it. If you cannot outrun the machine, own part of it, through investments in the companies that collect the world's economic gravity. Rockefeller did not simply build Standard Oil. He owned the mechanism that extracted wealth from everyday life. John D. Rockefeller lived long enough to see his empire broken apart, recombined, and replicated across industries he never touched. His foundation reshaped medicine. His methods became the backbone of corporate law and global capitalism. And long after his death in 1937, his system only strengthened. Today, vertical integration, horizontal consolidation, holding companies, regulatory capture, and philanthropic influence define every major industry. They began with Standard Oil. Now they govern energy, retail, tech, healthcare, finance, and more. Rockefeller's idea, that efficiency is destiny and monopoly is the final stage of the market, has become reality. You cannot escape his system. But once you recognize it, you finally understand the world you're living in. Welcome to Rockefeller's economy.